Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maria. If you watch this video and you enjoy it, don't be shy, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for any future videos on narcissistic abuse recovery and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Today I have the next video for you in our Triangulation Series, and this video is about narcissistic parents and the narrative they have about the scapegoat child. Is this really who you are? So in the game of triangulation, which, catch one of my previous videos in triangulation so you can really understand what this dynamic really is. But we have three different types of siblings that are involved. And we're talking about the scapegoat child, the invisible child, and the golden child. So the golden child can do no wrong. On the other end of the spectrum is the scapegoat, who gets the brunt end of the deal. They are not easily manipulated, and the narcissist finds them to be someone who is threatening, someone who has empathy, someone that they looks down to and acts as if they are less than or weaker than the other units of the family, like themselves and the golden child in triangulation. So basically what the basis of triangulation is the narcissistic parent creates narratives about the different siblings, about their children, okay? So they create these narratives so that they're able to pin the different siblings against each other. When a family unit is pinned against each other, the only source of contact they have between all of the siblings is to the narcissistic parent. So the parent's intention is to make sure that they are the center of the family unit. And that is basically what triangulation is in the first place. So why create these narratives, right? So the narcissistic parent is going to create a narrative about you which paints a picture of who you are as a person. Now this narrative, believe it or not, can be completely separate from who you actually are. This is their narrative. This is not reality. So, of course, the issue is when you are a scapegoat, the narrative that's going to surround you is going to be a negative narrative. Whatever it may be, we need to remember that the narcissistic parent will always play the role of the victim. So whatever narrative they have around you is what is told about you to the golden child. They have a narrative that they tell about you to the invisible child. They have a narrative that they tell about you to their neighbors, to extended family, to your cousins, to your aunts, and to your uncles. But the whole thing is playing out in a way in which you're doing something wrong that is hurting or affecting them as a person. So they are the victim. So what are you doing that is hurting them? And the narrative that is surrounding a scapegoat is going to be something that the narcissist knows that later on down the road, they can use this narrative to come back to after years of gaslighting, after years of manipulation. They can come back and say, see, I told you my son or my daughter was like this. Because what happens is after we go through long-term emotional abuse and we maybe develop complex post-traumatic stress disorder, we develop different things like social anxiety. We develop emotional flashbacks, self-abandonment. There are different things that come about after years of being gaslighted and manipulated. Our brain starts to function in our limbic system out of pure emotion. So a narcissist will provoke you to the point in which you are emotional or you react out of emotion, and then they will back off, be completely calm, and call you crazy. So this narrative that they are creating will then be used down the road to say, see, after all of this abuse that took place, I told you they were like this. Okay? So this is the point of them creating this narrative about you if you are the scapegoat. So I want you to take a second, and you might already know this, might just be second nature to you, but what is the narrative that your narcissistic parent has created about you? What is the story that they are telling? So the problem with these narratives that narcissistic parents create, especially when we're talking about the scapegoat, is that we all understand that narcissists prey upon vulnerable people. So who is more vulnerable than a child? These narratives usually start in childhood, where a narcissistic parent can start seeing cracks and areas in you in which you may be insecure about. This is where a narrative is inserted in your being. So therefore, what's happening is you're growing up as one human being in which you were born, but then there's a narrative that's being put on you on top of who you actually are. So this gets confusing, but we start living out, because we trust our parents as children, living out the narrative that the narcissistic parent has put on us. So whatever this belief is that they have instilled in you as to who you are as a person, as you get older, even though it feels as if something is off, like you're not really that person, you still believe and play out and live in this role because you trust what your parents are saying, and children are vulnerable, so you believed them. You attached this negative narrative that they created to your actual identity. So what are some of these narratives that a narcissistic parent could create from a young age when we're talking about a scapegoat? Well, what about you're mentally unstable? You're not able to take care of yourself. You're not capable of being in a committed relationship. You're immature. You're not going to be able to be successful like your golden child brother or your golden child sister. You're different. You're just not accepted. You're sick. Okay. Sometimes narcissistic parents start at a young age with taking their children to the doctors. A lot of times acting as if they are taking care of them and, being kind in that way. But actually, they are putting the narrative in the scapegoat child's mind that they are sick. This causes the scapegoat to feel dependent upon the narcissistic parent throughout their life. What about the narrative of you're just not as smart as the golden child? You're just not as smart. You're good at other things. These are all things that the parents are putting into our minds as scapegoat children. And as we're growing up, maybe we don't apply for that job we would like to do, but we don't think we're capable of. We have these things in our mind thinking we're not good enough, we're not worthy of this job, we're not worthy of a healthy relationship. Well, this is kind of what I'm talking about when I say that they create this narrative when we're children. And this follows us, through our young adult and into our adult lives. We live out these things that they told us when we were children. So because we attach this fake narrative to our identity and we grow up with these limiting beliefs, a lot of times this gets us in trouble with relationships down the road and in our adult life. We are believing one thing about ourselves, so we attract partners who also believe those things about us. These partners may be a lot like and treat us very similar to our narcissistic parents. Because it's so familiar to us, we don't see it as a red flag. We see it as normal. This can get us into very toxic and narcissistic relationships, sometimes marriages that last for a long time. It's very hard for a child to wake up to what's happening, even a teen. This is all very confusing. It is emotional abuse. It's psychological torture. So a lot of times we don't realize what's actually happening until it's too late. And that may be the time in which we are in an adult relationship that is turbulent and, again, emotionally abusive. What does this do? Yet again, the whole goal for the narcissistic parent is that you are dependent on them. So anything that they can say to you to keep you in a spot where you need them, they will do, whether that is a true information or not. So if you are in a bad relationship, a narcissistic parent will eat that up. They'll want to be the one to be there to fix it and to help you, to be the savior, even though they created it. So what do we do about all this? Well, we definitely need to be transparent with our feelings. We should create a sense of safety in our life. It's that sense of safety that we lacked as children. So to create a sense of safety, keep ourselves in safe environments, surround ourselves with safe people. Don't jump into relationships. Take everything very slow. Trust your gut. That's a big one. Because we've been gaslighted and lied to and had a false narrative created about us, it's very hard for us to trust our gut. Make sure you are compassionate with yourself. You need so much compassion when you're trying to heal from emotionally abusive relationships. It's very unrealistic to think that a parent wouldn't want to protect and help you in your life, and instead they are against you, creating these narratives. So you need a lot of compassion and understanding when you're going through this. And don't forget, it is never too late to start again. This is your life, this is your story, this is your book, okay? So don't ignore all of this because you think it's the easy way out. Actually face it. The more transparent you can be with yourself and admit your flaws, if they really are your flaws, or are they? Is this a false narrative that was put on you? You can heal yourself. I just encourage you to do that and don't give up. It's a slow, long process, but if I can do it, you guys, you can too. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today and watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't be shy, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for any future videos on narcissistic abuse recovery and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And as always, I wish you all the love in the world.